Chegamos novamente.
Vamos lá, pessoal. A gente vai dar boas-vindas a todos e a todas que estiverem vindo nos assistir, seja em que momento for. Nós começamos a transmitir e caiu por essas coisas de internet, né? Então, como somos uma rádio pirata, a gente não desiste tão fácil. Nosso
Jamais.
podcast pirata vai seguir. E começamos então com os nossos agradecimentos, né? A nossa equipe HCO, cujos créditos vão aparecer ao final da transmissão da entrevista gravada, que hoje passamos. Agradecemos também aos grupos Osho no Facebook, que transmitem desde sempre estas lives do Histórias com Osho, que é o Osho Sem Fronteiras, Gabriel Sananda e equipe, Nelsânias, A Nova Realidade, Francisco Siqueira. Eu acho que a minha querida amiga está com o microfone desligado.
Aí, ó, tá vendo?
É.
Eu tava aqui
Ó,
esperando.
então, Kilma,
Nelsane, a
bem-vinda.
nova realidade.
A gente é
Francisco Siqueira.
persistente, gente. Ó, Wagma, Kilma, Parita já estão com a gente, então
Chegaram,
vamos lá,
chegaram.
gente.
Obrigada, gente.
HCO fazendo 5 anos com
Conosco.
muita valentia.
É,
Com muita valentia.
somos
Então,
rebeldes resistentes na rede.
vamos lá.
Nós temos o
É,
grupo mais único, pequenininho, exclusivo de amantes de Deus.
bem-vindo. Boa noite, Miguel Fine. A equipe HCO está toda aqui com a gente, por trás dos bastidores, nos ajudando a montar tudo. E também aqui nos assistindo, Miguel, Parita, nossa fada madrinha, Kilma, e a Wagma também, acho que também já chegou aqui. Vamos
É,
embora, então. Gente,
vamos embora.
vamos só terminar os nossos recados, né? Agradecemos aqueles que fazem doações, chave Pix, no comentário fixo. Obrigado, Sanguinha. E também um recado importante, né? Sério.
Não somos nenhum centro oficial do Osho, não representamos nada oficial, somos apenas bons amigos, ótimos amigos, contadores de história. Histórias com...
Melhor que Netflix, ó. Muito melhor que Netflix.
É real,
Quem...
isso é real, real, real.
Isso, tudo que fala do Osho lá no Netflix, sabe? Melhor assistir a gente, melhor do que aquilo que está lá. Vão
É,
assistir o filme do Lakshen e
isso.
vão ouvir aqui as nossas histórias, que elas são bem mais interessantes que
Interagir com o
aquelas.
mestre também,
Porque a
que
gente fala do néctar, do que tem de mais especial nisso, que tocou tanto as nossas vidas, né? E toca. E esse programa está de aniversário, daqui a um mês a gente está muito feliz com isso. Em breve teremos novidades. Espero. Essa equipe é
Ai,
valente, mas às vezes não
hoje tá,
consegue fazer tudo, né?
hoje tá. Ó,
Tá.
a gente vai passar o filme, se truncar a legenda, já sabem, no YouTube vai estar bonitinho. Se entrar a legenda em cima, desativa. E eu tentei desativar, semana passada deu um problema, né? Com as legendas automáticas. Eu tentei desativar, por enquanto elas não apareceram. Se aparecerem,
É.
vocês avisem
A
aí.
semana passada, essa hora já estava indo.
É, já estava, então capaz de eu ter conseguido. Eu espero não ter desativado coisa a mais, mas eu saí desativando tudo.
Vamos lá. Gente,
Vamos embora. Até já.
so, welcome, Radha, to Histórias com Osho. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation.
I'm very happy about this. So finally we meet.
Yes,
Finally,
great,
yes.
great, great. How the whole story begin for you? How Osho came into your life and the
Okay.
unfolding of that.
Okay. You know, it comes to my mind that these days people are seekers and they seek for something. But I was a little girl from Napoli, Italy. I was always wanting to understand what else was life about. When I was in a church, because Napoli is a very Catholic type of town where I was born, I was asking in the church with my mind questions to God, but he never answered me. So that was the only spiritual part of mine. And then one day, in those days was the late, the early 70s. I was a hippie. I became very quickly a hippie. And in that, I found for the first time what it means energy. So for me, the whole beginning of this journey has been energy, because with this experience, I had an energy experience. I understood that I was not only a body. And so I was looking for more about that. And then I started to travel. I did a hitchhiking journey, around Europe. And in this journey, I met some sannyasins, which I thought they were very strange. It was in Germany. And I was, a backpacker, jeans, no shoes, dirty. And they were all dressed perfectly well in orange clothes with this mala, with this strange guy hanging at the mala.
Mm.
So I was surprised and also felt strange, but because we were sleeping wherever we were hosted without needing to, we didn't have money to spend. So we decided to go and stay in this house. It was actually one of the very early centers, Osho centers. It
It
was
was in Germany, you said?
in Germany. It was Munich, and I was there with a girlfriend. We were traveling, two Italian girls, and so this particular person taught us, okay, come and stay in our house. In our house meant a big apartment with many sannyasins staying there. Many, only like 4 or 5. That's all in those days. And it's a long story, but to make it very short, I didn't feel comfortable there. I decided to leave, and my girlfriend stayed there. I wanted to continue the journey. I wanted to go to Ibiza and, to kind of continue my experiments. But I met so many different people, and I stayed in Ibiza for several months. But nobody was like these people. It's not about how they were dressed. It was not about how they look, which some of them really look beautiful. But I had met beautiful people all over the world, all over Europe, but something was completely different in the flavor or energy or something special, which in the beginning obviously scared me. That's why I ran away. And after that, I kind of felt, oh, I would love to see them again. And strange enough, it worked out so that they invited me to go back to Munich from Ibiza. And it was at the right time, because I was almost going out of my head with all these psychedelic things. So I felt now it's time to to become a little more straight. So that's how it all started. And then these people, for the first time, they were teaching me Osho's meditations.
Wow.
And it was all in the space of few days. And it was the year 74.
What
And
was your first experience? In what meditation was it?
yeah, this was quite crazy because they said to me, okay, you want to come with us to do dynamic meditation tomorrow? And I was like, what is dynamic meditation? Afraid. And then they explained to me, and I thought, no, not today, not today. But when they left, I was alone in the house, and I decided to try on my own first because I didn't want to show like a stupid little Italian girl not what to do. So I did something that sounded like dynamic to me. But then something happened when I went into the silent part. I lay down after that, and I don't know how long I was in space, which was very unusual because it was like sleeping, but I was not sleeping. And when
You mean right after the Who stage?
no, I was completing the meditation in my own
Ah, okay.
style. And then the final part, I think, okay, now I relax. So I lie down, and I don't know how long I was there, what happened. So suddenly I hear the bell ring, and there was one of it. This was the chief sannyasi center. He was an Indian man. So I hear the bell, ding, ding, ding. So I go to open the door. He looks at me and he says, what happened, Radha? No, not Radha yet. Yeah, Camilla, I was. What happened, Camilla? I said, what happened? Why? You look different, he said to me. I said, really? Yeah, you look different. I said, well, I just did try to do this meditation. Then he looked at me and he says, oh, when do you want to take sannyas? Immediately. And I said, now. So, you know, you looked at me, oh, but I have to go to work now. Yes, but we do it now. It was only me and him, and we had a tiny little room there where we meditated, like a closet type. And he said, come with me. So he put on a candle and in front of Osho's picture, and I was looking at Osho's picture, and that's it. He gave me sannyas.
Oh,
But in those days, Osho used to write, for example, 10 names, and he would give it to anyone who was going back to the West from India, and some malas. And so he told me, do you want to have the name? Because if you want to have the name now in today, I think tonight somebody comes back and he has a few names left. And I said, yes, I will. And then he also, I think he might have had a mala. So I took the mala. And then when this friend came, he said, do you really want to have the name now? And I said, sure. So the strange part was that 2 days before that, I bought a poster, like an Indian poster, and I put it in the room where I was sleeping. And the poster said Krishna Radha. I mean, it was Krishna Radha's. And he didn't know what would be written on these papers. And he just said, you choose from one of these papers. And it was Osho signed papers. And it was Krishna Radha. So that's it. I became a sannyasi.
wow.
It's different, yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
It was, at that time, it was October 74. And on the 1st of December, I was in Pune. And then we go to the next subject.
Yes.
That's so exciting. This story is just beginning.
So how was to went in with the
Pune.
show in Pune, and how was it?
And, in those days, Pune was only 2 houses. Have you been to Pune?
Sufi, é meio sim.
Abiru, you have been? Yeah.
Yes, yes. I was there when Osho left his body.
Okay.
Since April 88, I was in Pune straight away.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I remember you there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I arrived, there was only Krishna house, and then there was Lao Tzu house. So that's it. There was nothing else. So when I arrived, it was evening, and it was like a gate was closed, but there was no guards, nothing. And so they opened the gate. I went in. There was nobody, and I had the idea that any moment Osho is going to appear, and so, but nobody came. But I was told, okay, tomorrow you prepare because you are going to come and see Osho at this time. I don't remember what time was it.
You went alone?
I
Tipo,
went
não an-
with this guy from Munich that
Ah.
I met, and we stayed. I think the first 1 or 2 nights, and we stayed in one hotel at the station. Wow.
Wow.
And then yes, we went. We went the next day. I don't know if he came or not, but I know I did. And I already was Radha at that point because I was already using my name. And he used to see, because it was only a few people on the, there was Lao Tzu house. Where you go to the Samadhi, you enter his house, huh? So there is this porch where the car is now. So in that porch, they used to put his chair, and you just come in from the from the gate of Lao Tzu, and then you are sitting on the ground around the chair. So I go in, and the minute I entered this porch, it was wow, like unbelievable energy feeling. I had no idea about energy really that way. it was intense, oof, strong. By the way, I was maybe 19, maybe, or 19 and a half.
Wow. So young.
Child.
Child.
And then I had the feeling like my whole consciousness expanded by entering this field. So, you might have a feeling of when you go to the movie, you see the titles of the movie. So you are here and you see the titles of the movie. So I had that feeling as if my mind was these titles, this much
Wow.
distance between me and my thoughts.
Wow. Wow.
And I arrived there, and I was told to bow down to him. I was a very proud girl, so I never even imagined that I would do it, because, why I have to bow down to another person. But the minute I was there and I was called, I just found myself at his feet. And it's undescribable what I felt. And then I lifted up my head and looked into his eyes, and he said, "Radha, you are here." What?
Ai.
I probably imagine that you understand when I say that I never felt so welcomed by anyone in my whole life. I always had the feeling that I was doing and being something wrong. But this was my only first time in my life where I felt whoever I am okay with this. And super accepted.
Mm.
That was my feeling. Yeah.
So you stayed there, I guess, in Pune.
I stayed my whole life.
Ai, ai.
Of course, I stayed in Pune. I stayed, in a ranch, and then back to Pune too. I didn't go on the when he
World
was
tour.
traveling. I was not called to be in that group of people who was traveling with him. But I was, as soon as I could find him somewhere. For example, one time he was in Greece. I sold the only thing I had, and I went, because so I never had money. Nobody gave me money, so I was just begging in a nice way, because in those days many people were very generous. So I was, traveling or making money or a ticket or whatever, just because friends would be offering me money,
Wow.
which I was very grateful. I still am to many of them.
Yes, and I think around Osho some magic happens also.
Yes. Yeah,
Yes.
you lose also the stress around this. So I work all the time. I work morning, evening, night, whatever. In the ashram is like this. I was inside the ashram, so I must work. I have to work to be there. And even though I was born a little bit lazy, and Osho spoke about that, then actually I was doing whatever everybody did. So in those days, I was asked to be a cleaner all the time. So that was you know, in a way, it was.
Pune one experience you
Yeah.
talking about. Yeah, I guess this was some people we interviewed said Pune one was wild, very wild. I just the image for me is seeing Anubhava singing in
Yes.
music group. There is
Yes.
a recording him in Buddha Hop. I mean that represents for me Pune
Pune
one.
one. Yes. Well, Pune one is wild also because it was like a river of income, people coming from all over the world. And I was very lucky from the beginning for 2, 3 reasons. But one of them was that I was translating for all the Italians. I didn't speak very good English yet, but I made it work. So Osho always wanted me to translate for Italians. Yeah. And of course, this energy experience also was immediately something that not only, the energy darshans you all know, but previous to that, he was experimenting with people in a different way. I don't know if you might have seen some pictures where he holds a torch. So he used, for example, okay, you come there and you say anything. I have a problem with this, or I have a question about that. And then he would say, okay, Divya, sit down and close your eyes. And then he will take a torch, and you don't see because your eyes are closed, and he would be doing something with his torch. I cannot tell you in words what he was doing, but something was happening. And many times, and it started for me in that way, he would say to me from the very beginning, okay, Radha, you go behind Divya, put your hands on her head and just pour your love into her. This happened to me the first time. It was a man, and I did that. But when somebody like Osho would say to you, put your love, pour your love, normally you would have questions. What is love? And is this love? Am I doing the right thing? Nothing. I just poured. In pouring the love in that situation, I completely disappeared, and to the point that I would freak out, beautifully freak out, bliss out is the best word, bliss out. And my body in the first few times could not take it, so I would flop down on the ground without any fear. I was in a beautiful state, and then people will carry me out because I could not move anymore. So that was my first real energy experience. And from there, many other times he asked me to do these kind of things. Then he started to do these experiments after a few years, energy darshans, and I was also joining the mediums. We were 12 women, and we were part of this program, called it program. I don't know. Yes. I never, it's interesting because maybe some people who also you interviewed, they spoke a lot with Osho. They had a chance to blah, blah, blah. I couldn't talk with him, never, hardly, almost never. I couldn't. So for me, my communication or commune was more like a communion, and it was only with energy. And he would look at me. I will know when to go there, that I have to get up or I have to sit down, or like that. And in the very beginning, the first few years, a lot of crying, a lot of things were happening, but not during the energy darshans, just in other moments. And somehow this is in the future became the reason of what I do the last 30 years with my work.
Yes, we're gonna come to this point. Just before that, tell us a bit also your life in the ranch, Puna 2.
Yeah. Okay. After that, Osho disappears, and one day he goes away, and he didn't say anything almost. I mean, I don't think hardly anybody knew that.
Wow.
So from one day to another, he's not there anymore. Boom.
Wow.
But I don't know why I never suffer from this situation. I always had the feeling also that life is taking care of me. And life did. So in that occasion, I went back to Italy and stayed in my family only 5 days. I still remember 5 days. They were thinking, oh, she's coming back, because of course they didn't like that I was in India for all those years. But in the space of 5 days, a friend who had a beautiful house in the south of Italy, in Sicily, invited me to go there. And there he invited more and more people, including Shakura, who and a few others, just all to come to this place. And we became a kind of commune very quickly. And so for about a year, not even 1 year, I was there, and I was somehow together with this man. We are not together, but I was a kind of representing the Osho Center. So a lot of people trusted me, and they came, and so how it went. And I was very much taken care of and envied also. So many stories about that. And then there was a point where Osho was already in Oregon at that point. And I think he asked, not him, but all the people around, they asked rich people to come to Oregon to see Osho so that they would decide to put money into this project. So the guy who was owning this place went to Oregon, but he was a grown-up man and a kind of politician. So when he came back, he said, I'm not going to follow this. I want this place to stay. I'm not going to do anything. But if you want, I'll pay you a ticket so you see that it's not worth for you to go. And then I go there. It was really quite a shock because it was, India is so amazing, so luscious, so green, so tropical, basically. And you go to the other side of the world, and it was like a desert, and so much dust, and very few people in that time. But Osho, that time I spoke with Osho, and they called me to see him. He want to see me. And then he said something. He gave me a cowboy hat.
Do you have it?
I don't think so, no. I must say, he gave me many, many presents, but strange enough, now I cannot imagine how it happened. I kept giving to other people who didn't have a chance. So I was perhaps too generous, but I was.
Hmm. Yes.
I kept only a few things that I care for. And in that time, he said, can you still do the belly dancing? Because one time in Punawan, as a joke, I was with a few other girls. We made a little thing, and I was also belly dancing, And then somebody told him that I was incredible. I never studied belly dancing. I don't know how I was kind of channeling belly dancing. So, and I said, I can do it for you, Osho. That was, And he said, okay, no. So then go back, close the center over there in Italy, and come back.
Ah,
And then I went, and when I said to the people there, let's close the place, they didn't want to do it. And I went and left from there. And I went to be on the ranch. The first world celebration, I was there. And,
wow.
and that's it. Then I was there until Osho disappeared again.
Again.
And for me, that time on the ranch, I must say, was amazing because I had no idea about all the other stuff that was going on. And, I only saw him every day on the drive-by, and every time he passed me, he stopped. Every time, every day, he stopped. And he would go, putum, 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 putum. I jumped like I have never jumped before or after. So for me, it was enough energy again, And I did all kinds of jobs. And I found out that I have a power which I never experienced before, which in a way, this was my gift. I could do anything. I could do any job. I could, work 14 hours a day. It was amazing. So for me, it was an amazing experiment. And again, one day I was told, well, look, Osho is there in that airplane. He is leaving forever.
You saw the airplane leaving?
Yes,
And
but I didn't know before. They
yeah.
told me, oh, drive-by is different. Come, come. I went there, and it was already Osho flying out after all the stories, the prison, the things. And that's it. 5 days after, I was gone again. For me, the most important thing, which was clear, I was always there for Osho. I was not there for the experiments or anything like that. So in a way, I wasn't very much liked by the organizations and stuff. So I had always a bit of, And I found out only when Osho left the body in Pune 2 that Osho had a few people that he wanted to be there with him, like a special guest. I was never told. I was doing like everybody else working. Maybe I was not the best worker, but I always did. And that time I was told, you have been here all this year because Osho wanted you to be here. So now
Oh,
you either do something good or you go.
wow.
Essential work. That's all.
What moment was it? Was it still in the ranch?
It was
No,
Pune
it was
2
Pune
at the
2
end.
Pune 2.
when
Yeah.
he came back.
Much later when he left the body after that. I didn't know
Okay.
till then.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
In Pune
Wow.
2, you worked in office, something like that?
Yes,
Yes.
I was in the beginning. It's also there another story, but anyway, we can't talk forever. So you must read my book, by the way.
Okay. We're gonna talk about that also.
Yes.
Actually, I have to tell you that I counted, it's been translated in 8 different languages.
Wow. I have seen 3. Yeah.
Yeah, but not Portuguese, I'm sorry.
How was it for you when Osho left his body?
Again, it's an unbelievable, was and is an unbelievable experience. You know, I was not in Pune because I had to go and do some visa in Thailand. It was blah, 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 a mess, but I was together with 2 friends and we met on airport after a long travel. And it was the 18th of January. So we flew back to Pune, not to Pune, we flew back to Bombay because those days there was no flight for Pune. We flew there and then we took a room because it was late in the evening. And these 2 boys, they were like, oh, let's spend the day in Bombay, the 19th. Let's spend the day in Bombay, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, you guys, if you want to stay here, you stay. I'm going to take a train very early morning. It was already late night. But we are late, we're tired. Why do you want to go? I think we better go. I go. If you want to join me, otherwise I just go. So they said, oh, come on, Radha. Okay, we come with you. And we arrived 11 o'clock, Pune 2.
11 a.m.
11 a.m. on 19th January 1990. When I walked in, it was very strange because it felt so heavy, the energy. I don't know. So I said, oh my God, what is this? Maybe I should have stayed to have holidays. But anyway, then I went to my room. I had a space there, a room. Let's call it room. And a funny room on a balcony. And then, yeah, then it was around 5 o'clock. I start to hear a wailing, you know, wailing? Ah, some sound like that, you know. And what is this? And in that moment, I knew somebody had died because, you know, there is a type of sound that people make, women make when the man is dying, men or women are dying. Then I went to ask of something like, and they said, oh, it's Mataji, which the mother of Osho, she had a house very close to, I could hear, you know, and oh, why she's crying so much? Then some feeling strange feeling. But then, okay, let's go to white robe, to how did we used to call it, brotherhood or something.
White robe, brotherhood.
Yeah. Yes. And then, so I go as I used to go before, but I'm a little bit spaced out because I'm just coming from the traveling train and all these things, you know, the flight and whatever. I arrived there, and then all of a sudden, because I used to be in the front, I see some of the people from the inner circle coming with very serious face and tears, and some people are crying, and I'm like, what's going on? Still, I cannot imagine, you know, because I knew that many times Osho was sick, but you know, like every little girl never thinks her daddy is going to die. So in a way, there was a little bit this feeling that I could never imagine that he would leave us. And then you probably know the other part, because then there was Dr. Amrito, who started to make the announcement. And I was in a state of shock. The shock didn't make me feel anything. I didn't feel anything. So all I knew was I was going to go at the burning guts, follow the body, and be there. Osho had many times before, not many, but a few times said, if the disciple is going to be present when the master dies, you know, it would be an incredible experience, because in that experience, he might also get enlightened or something like that. So I was like going there to the burning guts, and lots of people, and me, nothing. And so much nothing that I think, oh, I'm never going to get enlightened with, you know, what he was talking about. This is horrible. Not horrible because he died, but because of the crowd, because of the situation and whatever. And in those days, I used to smoke one cigarette at night, every night. So that moment when the burning was happening and all this situation is happening, all I could think of, I want to go away and smoke a cigarette. So I felt very unspiritual. Then I got the cigarette from somebody. I decided to leave because I was not, you know, nothing was happening to me. And I went to sleep. And I don't remember if it was the next day or the day after, but his ashes were brought back. And when this happened, something happened, not only to me, but I think to many, because it felt as if everybody you looked at was Osho. It was so much energy, so much love, so much everything, that's how I felt that, you know, of course. So for 3 weeks, I was in this state. And so I felt so grateful that I didn't wait to go, that I went there the day before. So it was beautiful. It was amazing. And there was no sadness, because I had the feeling that Osho had prepared all of us for him to go. I never felt I am a follower of Osho. I am a devotee of Osho, but when you are a devotee to the master, you start to love yourself. That's for me what happens, what happened and what happens.
And it was so beautiful that you tell right now that
Yeah.
I need to breathe a little, because that I think that was Osho means from everybody, from every disciple.
Yes.
That so When did you start working with Tantra? In
Well,
Tantra way?
Osho left the body, and for 2 years I continued to live in the ashram and to work as normal worker. I used to do my last job was a bakery. I love to make cakes and to put love into croissant and all kinds of things. Wonderful.
Wonderful.
And then one day somebody asked me that, would you create something for the new people who are coming now without the body, Osho's body? What would you do? And I was never asked to do anything creative beside whatever I was doing. But somehow I got this idea that if me, when I came to Osho, the whole thing was I met Osho, he was pouring his love into me. And then I was able to start to become a human being. Then this is what we all need to do. So I thought we have absorbed so much from Osho, we have to share this. And if we are living inside the ashram, which I was at that time, we need to do something that helps new people to feel that. So I created something that at that very beginning was called Buddha to Buddha. I don't know if you have experienced that, Abiru.
No.
No.
Well, it was after Osho left his body, yeah?
Yes.
Yes, 2 months after I left Pune.
Okay.
I came back only once for a month.
Okay. So the Buddha to Buddha was basically for all sannyasins to receive the new people, to sit down in Osho's house with a nice welcome and talk a little bit. It was nothing special, just like we are doing now, you and me, and that's it. And then this probably just gives the atmosphere, it gives energy. And then at that time, I had the feeling that many people were missing the Jews. So I decided that maybe one thing which needs to happen is that once a month, all of us that are doing this work, we meet and we get juiced up. So I created a one-day event for this, which I never did any groups before. I didn't participate to groups myself, because very soon when I arrived, there was no groups. And so when I arrived in Pune 1, there was no groups. So I basically, for me, the work was working, karma yoga and meditate, that's it. And then I created this event, and in this event, I start to feel, that's beautiful. I would love to do things like this, but didn't think of anything. In these days, situation was complicated, and I decided that I needed to leave the ashram because I had been there for all those years, which were altogether, I think, 16 years already. So I was still young, but I was almost 40. Didn't have a job, didn't have a way to do anything. So from there, I spent another year, I think, outside the ashram, but still coming to meditate every day and things like that. I was a bit disoriented, but I had the feeling that I have to do it because I cannot be in that situation without Osho's body being there. And I felt, anyway, I felt it's the time. So I started, okay, but what do I do now? Because I don't have money to do anything, and I need to earn money. So after about a year, I understood what is that I love. About a year took me. So what do I love? I love people. I love sex. because in this energy experience, sexual energy is at the base of the also the blissful energy. It's the same thing. It's just one side of it. So I experienced whenever I would do these energy darshans, I felt somehow that the root is in the sex. Everything else is wow, in the devotion is not even devotion, in the bliss, it was something,
Ecstasy.
yeah, ecstasy. So then how to construct this, I had no idea. So I went for the first time. I had a friend who was in Chile. He was my boyfriend until a year before or something. We were together when Osho left the body. So he said, come to Santiago and maybe we do an event here.
Mm.
So some friends helped, and for the very first time, without ever having done anything before, I did an event in Santiago, and there was like 60 people. And I still remember after this event, it was like I was trembling so much, not only from the energy, but from my God, did I do that, And it was totally different. It was more like a mixture of meditation and music, live music. But somehow I was there and I did it. So this gave me the idea, slowly, to start to do some groups. One day, some friends in Italy invited me after a few months to do a weekend in Italy. They had a center, an Osho center. Can you do a weekend with us? And I thought, what am I going to do?
Why not?
I said yes, but I was very insecure, I didn't.
Yes.
And then as I was entering, maybe 20 minutes before, I didn't have a plan whatsoever, nothing. Whatever I saw, I just think, if I have to remember to do this or to do that, it makes me nervous. This has always been my thing. I can perform on the spot, but not to remember before what I do. So I said, Osho, please tell me what to do. I went to the bookshelf in the Osho Center. I went like this, like tarot card. I picked this book, and it was Mahamudra, the Song of Mahamudra, the Tilopa of Tilopa.
Wow.
And I had been so in love with these discourses. Osho was talking about Tilopa in the very early days of Pune 1. And I had done all the meditations there, So I thought, okay, now I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to share what I know. And I started like that. And then much more happened after that, of course.
Wow. We have these talks could go for
Yes.
maybe we can have a second part. But what I'm gonna ask you now is about your book, Tantra,
Yes.
A Way of Living and Loving. Yeah, tell us a little about this.
Yes, basically, I had no background as a therapist, and I'm not a therapist. I don't consider myself a therapist. I consider myself a conductor of, a teacher of meditation and tantra, because I teach what I know. I have done it. I know it. So it's not about exercises. It's about meditation, and of course, later on, I learned a little more about some exercises that some therapists were doing in Pune, and I assisted some of the groups. So I combined the things together. But I thought something needs to be shared. Otherwise, people say, why this Radha who was only cleaning and cooking in Pune is doing Tantra groups, you know. So this book came up. I wanted to do a book. I had many stories, and I didn't know how to write, if not, especially because Italian, I forgot, but I still, of course, I am Italian. English, I'm good, but not for writing. So I did it in a different way, this book, with the help of a writer. And I did a lot of interviews like I'm doing with you, but in those days there was no video. So a lot of audios and recorrect. And then, of course, I was editing and all that. And when this group came out, in the beginning, it was difficult because it's one more story of anybody sannyasi, you know. But then I was working in Japan. That was my first place beside the happening in Chile. I went to work in Japan. This is also still now a place that I love. I am very connected to Japan. So Japanese people, they were the first one to translate the book. So from English, the book was translated in Japanese.
Wow.
And it's still there. Then from English, let me check because I don't remember. I think, yeah, Italians, they took from English. So the book was translated in Italian, which was funny because, you know, I should have been the one translating, but I was not proper Italian. Then I used to work a lot in Russia, so somebody also translated in Russia, and it's still there. Then I went to work for a while in Israel, so Hebrew. Then I did also a few groups in Romania, so it's also in Romanian. Just people fall in love with this, and they ask, "Can we translate?" And then I've been working with first with the Taiwanese people, and then you know, Taiwan is Chinese, so they translated in Chinese. So it went to China as well. So
Wow.
this is my situation. And
Uh,
not
where
all
to
of
find
them.
it?
Sorry?
Where to find your book? Amazon?
I think if you go to Amazon, you still probably find it in English. Everything else is complicated because, you know, it's not a bestseller, but it has helped me to get always crowds that come from anywhere. You know, it's amazing because all my groups are mostly international. They are not just Italian, they are not just whatever, English. So, and some of them, they don't distribute anymore. So what you can find is English. I can find Italian, but it's not helpful for you. And the Spanish, I'm sure it's still being distributed. And Chinese still happening. And that's it, I think. No, Russian also.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. We must to translate it in Portuguese.
Yeah. That would be-
We have to. Well, tell us a little about your work as meditation and that Tantra. How can we find your program and
Yeah, I was
modes?
sharing with Abiru to go to my website. My website is tantralife.com. I have usually a program that goes already for the whole future year, sometimes even 1.5 years. I have done this work by now for 30 years. I'm still passionate. I still love it. And I have a great bunch of people that help me. Otherwise, alone, I don't think I could. But wherever I go, I create a small Buddha field with some people who have done my work before. And so they are becoming a staff. I also have a program for those people to do an internship. So the people come to do an internship and to learn. And now only recently, 2 years ago, I also made this new program, which is a professional training, which is not about teaching people to be Tantra teachers, because I find that it's very delicate, this whole feeling of Tantra. You know, it's been misused in every part of the world. So that is also why I always, for me, I'm one of the people who always teaches meditation and meditation and meditation and Tantra as meditation, but also with the, of course, with the aspect of sex and sexuality and freedom and all that, you know?
A
Thank you
última
very much.
pergunta? A última pergunta?
Yeah, there's one more.
One more.
Yeah,
One more.
but very short.
Very
Then,
short.
Actually, it's not a question, but it's just like play.
okay.
We ask our guests to say, if you would say one word about Osho, what would that be?
Love.
Mm.
Love upon love upon love, only love.
That's the way of the heart.
The heart, let the
Yes.
way of the heart. Thank you.
Guys, it was fun to be with you. I don't even know where you live in Brazil. Which city?
I'm in São Paulo, and Abiru is Porto Alegre.
I
Okay.
live in the
South of
very
Brazil.
south of Brazil. Lots of Italians here.
I know. Immigrants. We are
Yeah.
immigrants.
Yes. Thank you very much,
Okay,
Radha.
sweetheart. Thank you
Thank
very,
you,
very
thank you,
much
beloved.
for receiving me.
Ah, thank
Ciao.
you. Ciao,
Grazie mille.
bella.
Come grazie mille?
Grazie mille.
How do you say in Portuguese?
Muito obrigado.
Muito obrigado.
Mm,
Ciao.
Ciao.